Just a couple points of interest for you guys. Hopefully, all of you have signed up for our trial already. You can do it one of two ways. One is to go to realnex.com in your browser, pull it up, and you can actually go to the screen and look just like this. We just launched our new mobile app. I encourage you guys to download that as well. It is available to work while on the trial as well. So go ahead, populate your own data, use our demo data if you would like, and it works in conjunction with the mobile app. It's free on both Apple and Android. And you can go here, and then if you close out this window, this notification, you can see it says Start Free Trial. Feel free to go ahead and start your free 30-day trial that way as well. The other option is if you actually pull it up on the browser on your phone, your mobile device, and you go to realnex.com, we have a mobile website that you can go to start that trial that way as well. Download the app all at the same time. Okay, so today's presentation, we are going to be covering how to use our RealNex solutions here as they pertain to tenant representation. Okay, we've got a bunch of different tools available to you all. We include them in what we call our RealNex suite, and we do cover all aspects of commercial real estate. So if you're not in tenant rep, we might have another one later on in this week that might work for you. We do a landlord or an owner presentation on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Central Time. Then we also do an investment sales one on Thursday at the same time, 11 a.m. Central. Okay, feel free to check those out. They're free. You go and register the same way you got into this one. Okay, so with that, let's just go ahead and dive right in. So RealNex is the aggregation of a couple different market-leading solutions in commercial real estate. As most of you all probably know, there are a bunch of different tools that you need to use to facilitate a transaction, be it a tenant rep, investment sales, etc. Okay, there's a bunch of different things you need to use. You'll probably have to have a CRM. Okay, that's tracking your clients. Maybe you're tracking tenants and spaces, tracking lease expiration dates and your projects. Okay, you're probably doing some sort of comparative analysis as well, right? You want to look at 5 different spaces. You want to see what their net effective rates are and see what's going to be most conducive to your client. You got to have a program to do that. You probably may be creating marketing material, right? You guys are going and creating those tour books and tour reports. Well, you need a program that does that. Okay, and then finally, you probably need like a listing, a subscription to a listing service. You need to be able to go find those available spaces and maybe even market your tenant out there to owners and stuff like that. So what RealNex has done is we've aggregated all these different single point solutions into what we call a RealNex suite. We've started integrating them together, but right now our approach is basically bundle and save. Get all those things that you would pay for separately underneath one basket and save substantially. Okay, so just kind of like get your home phone, your internet, your cable bundled together. RealNex is doing the same thing. Get your CRM, get your transaction manager, get your lease analysis, get your listing service, email marketing, get it all together in one place, save a bunch of money, and increase your efficiency. Because that's really what it's all about. Any tool that we buy out there, all you're doing is buying more time for yourself. Okay, if it's not helping you be more productive and saving you time, you probably shouldn't be spending your money on it. So with that, let's just go ahead and dive in. What we're going to do is maybe take a typical a day in the life of, so we're going to probably start with our CRM. That's where you guys should be spending every single day, okay? Then we'll work on our transaction management platform. It's our touring software. Then we'll work on a lease analysis, and we'll go into our listing, and if we have time, we'll hit email marketing as well, okay? But as I mentioned, where you should be spending most of your time is going to be in the CRM platform, okay? This is going to give you the most bang for your buck, and this is going to help you work the most efficiently. So our CRM is unique in the fact that it is commercial real estate specific. Okay, we actually bought a company called REA, stood for Real Estate Assistant. They have been in the market for over 30 years, and they were built from the ground up from a commercial real estate broker. Built his own program to help him do his transactions and manage his business. People started noticing, and then he started licensing out. The rest is the American dream. But from the ground up for a broker. So you can't go sell Girl Scout cookies or car insurance with this CRM like a lot of the other ones out there. This is 100% for commercial real estate. Okay, and so what we have also is a relationship-driven database, because so much of real estate really does revolve around relationships. Okay, so we have different sections of our database. What we have the ability to do is connect these together. Okay, so you're going to have contacts, projects, companies, properties, spaces, and comps. Okay, those are all different kind of sections to your database, but what we have the ability to do is connect these together. So a good example for everyone on the call today doing tenant representation is you're probably going to have a client. Okay, more likely that client's going to be like a company, right, or the owner of a company, right? They're going to be the tenant. So you have a company, then you have contacts within there, right? You might have the CEO, CFO, brothers, sisters, whatever you want to attach to that company, you can do that. Now you need to take those contacts and maybe tie them to properties. okay, or tie them to spaces within properties, right? So what we could do is we could take that company, tie it to the contacts, and tie that company back to a specific space, tie that space to a specific property, and I can keep track of the lease renewals, expiration dates, TI, CAM charges, etc., all within this one platform, and I can kind of back my way into whatever information I'm looking for, okay? So let's start at contacts, all right? That's the most basic rudimentary part of a CRM, okay? Just keeping track of people, who they are, what they do, and how they can help you make money, okay? So with our database, there's a couple ways you can kind of partition stuff out. The one that comes right out of the box ready to go for you all is we can create, different subsection of contacts, right? Not all contacts are created equal. You can break them up into investors, tenants, agents, vendors, personal, and prospects, okay? Just a great way to partition that stuff out. If all you do is single tenant net lease, maybe that's your specialty. You don't really do much office or industrial. You might refer that over, build up an agent database. If you don't do investment sales, build up an investor database, okay? So carry that on through there. You also have the ability to come in and create your own customizable groups within here, okay? So these are all of my tenants who are by Chili's or by Subways or whatever their specialty is. Here's all my tenants that need that requirement, right? Create your own group. You can name them anything that you want, just helps you pre-categorize them, okay? Then let's just go ahead and dive into a contact, kind of take a look at what we're getting into here. So we've got here, we kind of work left to right through all of our records. Doesn't matter whether it's a contact, a project, a space, we all kind of work left to right, okay? So on this far left-hand side, we have the ability to see that high-level information, profile, if you will. So what we could do is we can see, who he is, who does he work for, how do we get a hold of him, okay? Pretty basic stuff. Then what I can come down here is I can create a profile on him. Now you can create investor profiles. It's probably not going to be your guys' niche. What we probably want to do is create a tenant profile. Now this is on the individual. You can also do this at the company level as well. So what we can do is we can come over here and say, when does their lease start? When does it expire? What is their term? What is their type? Okay. What are they paying? What's their square footage footprint, right? What's their effective rent, CAM charges, taxes, TI, etc. Okay. If I want, I can even go ahead and say what type of business they're in. Okay. What are their requirements for space? How much space do they need? Are they growing? Are they contracting, etc. All right. And like I mentioned earlier, there will be other people that you do business with that you might want to keep track of within your database. Other agents that you do is with vendors, maybe some personal contacts. Keep track of all those within here. And it works the same way. Create those profiles. Now, what we want to do is we always want to be documenting communications that we have with people, right? Because if you're busy, like most brokers I know are, you're talking to 100 different people, having 100 different conversations a day, and that's kind of hard to remember and keep track of. So that's the power of the CRM. Document those interactions, come back and reference it so you're always prepared. So anything that's already transpired, what we do is we document underneath history. Some other CRMs will go out there and document underneath notes. Our version is a little more robust, and it creates scalability for you, okay? What I mean by that is, well, I know I had a phone call with them, or it was an email that we sent, or whatever the case may be, and I know it was with Antonio, but I do not remember when it happened or what the subject line was or anything like that. Well, what you can do is just go to your history, and by using our history tab, we can come over here and we can sort by any number of things that we want. We can sort by date, event type, subject, etc. Maybe it's tied to a specific project, all right? Now, if we want to document that history, so we can come in here, just simply click on the Add New option here, pull it right up, and basically you're just filling in data fields. What was the subject of that interaction? We were calling regarding his lease renewal, okay? It was a phone call. Maybe it wasn't a phone call. Maybe you had lunch with him. Maybe you had a meeting, okay? Anything that you want, it's within here, okay? Then what we can do is we can tie these interactions to multiple records. This is key, especially if you're looking at like a shared database. Maybe you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 users, okay, all using the same stuff. Well, if I go make my notes underneath the contact, but my partner down the hall went and made it underneath their space, and the other partner down the hall went and made it underneath the company record, and we don't link those things together, we're never going to know what we're doing. The right hand won't know what the left is doing. So what we want to do is we have this link tab here. I can come in over here, and I can link this one interaction to any other record I want in my database. I can link it to the contact. I can link it to the contact's brother, sister, cousin. I can link it to their company. I can link it to their property. I can link it to the space. Okay, so create as many records as I want, link it to this, make my note once, hit save, and it'll replicate that note across all records. So if we come in here and my partner comes in while I'm out on sick leave or on vacation or something like that and needs to know where we're at, and he went and looked underneath the company record instead of the contact record, you'd be able to see it right here. All right. So that's history, right? That's already happened, all right? But the other side of that equation is that you guys are going to be able to create reminders, follow-ups, ticklers, to-dos, whatever you want to call them, okay? We do that underneath our events tab within our CRM. Okay, we're going to go create that event or reminder. Okay, similar like what you would do with Outlook on your calendar or Google. Okay, so what we can do is we come in over here, same exact process. We just have a couple extra fields. Okay, subject, interaction, etc. We can keep track of that. What you're going to notice is that we have a priority level. Okay, so we're going to a closing, probably a higher level, right? If you're going to go send someone a get well soon card, probably like a lower level. Okay, so it's completely up to you. This is your discretion. I was just using those as examples. If you want to have an alarm that goes off to remind you of your reminder, you could do that as well, right? I want to get reminded 30 minutes before that event's supposed to occur. Okay. Then again, you're going to come in over here, just kind of bump that date out. When do we need to have that future interaction? Then we go ahead and we can link it to anything else in our database. Exact same process, okay, just a couple extra fields. All right. So then going right along, we have the ability to tie this one specific contact to multiple projects. So if you guys have a client who might be looking for multiple spaces, they're a franchisee or something like that, and they're going to open up 5 different subways in the greater, metropolitan service area. Well, what you want to do is each one of those is going to be a separate transaction. Okay, so what you want to do is we can aggregate everything pertaining to that specific client underneath projects right underneath here, attach it directly to him. So the easiest thing to remember with project is think if it puts money in my pocket, create a project for it. Okay, pockets of projects. All right, so this is every single thing that could put $1 in my pocket for Antonio. Right, so he's a pretty good client of mine. You can see we got about 5 different transactions that we're working on. We're going to dive into that a little bit more, but I just want to kind of show you how we can link and use that power of the relationship database. Okay. We've also got our links tab. Again, kicking back over to the relationship-driven database. Again, we talked about how so much of commercial real estate revolves around relationships. Well, this is kind of a great way to create any kind of custom relationship that you want. Sometimes it's not what we know, it's who we know that helps close that deal. So what I can do is I can create a relationship between Antonio, this client, to any other record in my database. Okay, and then I can put my own custom description. Okay, so I can link Antonio as a contact, put in a descriptor for what he is, and then link it to any other record. I can link it to a contact, a company, a property space, and then put in a quick note. Okay, so what you can see is that I've linked him to a couple different contacts, some properties, some comps. I've got quite a few different things in here. So a good example would be is like, oh, I was looking for Antonio. I know his brother-in-law does something, but I can't remember what it is. Well, if you set up your database correctly, I can go over to his links, say, oh, look, there's John. He works with the Montgomery Group, and look, there it is. It says it's his brother-in-law. If I click on that link, it'll bring up John's record for me. Now I can look at all that information on John, right? Now I've got his phone number, his email, okay? And it works the same way with the company, right? Maybe Antonio owned 5, 6 different companies, right? I can attach those companies in there. He's the CEO of this one, the CFO, EVP, whatever you want to put in there. Create those relationships, okay? Huge time saver when you guys do that stuff. That's the beauty of this program. Again, you're just buying time, all right? Finally, a couple other things here. We've got attachments and notes, okay? Attachments is, basically you guys are probably saving documents out there on your OneDrive or your C drive on your computer, or whatever it is that you do. Why not centralize it, keep it all in one place, okay? So upload those floor plans, the glamour shots of your clients, whatever you want to do. Put those Excel files, Word documents, PDFs, PNGs, save them all, attach them to the appropriate record. It's all in one spot for you, right? One-stop shopping. Finally, you've got notes, okay? Notes is just kind of like the catch-all, right? We've got a lot of profile information we could put in there. We've got a lot of history and events and stuff that we kind of covered, as well as the links. Notes is just kind of like that, ancillary information, right? He's a dog lover. His dog's names are Rex, Ralph, and Fido, or whatever you want to put in there. That's what notes is for. But documenting specific interactions regarding transactions and stuff like that, we do that underneath history, okay? So that's contacts. Other side of this is obviously going to be properties, okay? You're going to have your clients and your contacts associated with spaces, okay? Those spaces then get associated with a property. So what you can do is you can pull up any property you want. It can be an office, retail, etc. And it's going to work that same way. Create that profile on that property, okay? So as you guys are going through and working those transactions, there are going to be a couple different people involved in that property, right? So what we want to do is we want to attach those key players directly to this first page underneath contacts for the property. So I've got a site contact. more than likely that's probably going to be a property management company, right? They got a hole in the roof or flooding or something like that. Who do they contact, right? In this case, it's going to be site contact. Who's that point person? What's the company, etc. Who's the owner of that particular property, right? And then with you all being tenant rep specialists, you're probably going to have that owner or landlord rep that's involved. Well, let's tie that agent directly back to that property. And again, these are all links. You can see it becomes a thumbnail. When I hover over it, it'll take me directly to that record if need be. Okay. Then if we want to, we create detailed information on that property. Okay, tell me building class, construction type, acres, lot size, parking ratios, parking fees, etc. You can name it all. Okay, again, just getting to better understand that property. Okay, we got a lot of information in here. Don't think it's overwhelming or anything like that. Use what you need to. It's your database. We just did the legwork of creating a lot of the content for you already. Okay. Units, you guys are probably going to be dealing with units too much. That's typically on the multifamily or the self-storage side. What you guys are going to be dealing with is spaces. Okay, so I've got my office park here. And what we can do is we can go ahead and create spaces within that property. Okay, Balboa Office Park, we have a couple different spaces within here. Okay, so you can see, I can see what suite number it is. I can tie that tenant specifically back to that individual space. Then I can look at the high-level stuff. I can look at that square footage footprint that they're occupying. When does their lease start? When does it end? What are they paying in dollars per month as well as a rate? What type of lease is it, etc. Then again, relationship-driven database. If I go click on that suite number here, I can pull it up, and I can look at all the really detailed information on that space. Right now I'm in the spaces section of that database. I can go in and I can look at, what were their CAM charges? What's their TI? What's their escalation? Okay. Get into all the nitty-gritty stuff. Okay. Then if we need to, again, you're going to see events, projects, history, leads, links. These are kind of universal across every record that we have within the database here, guys. So you're going to get the same kind of repetition in here. So it's going to be a very easy onboarding and learning process for you, because basically events is events or history is history. It doesn't matter what record you're in. Just create those relationships. Okay. Finally, same thing that we kind of talked about, right? Events, project, history, leads, links, attachments, all works the same way. We're just at a different level for properties, right? Last thing I want to show you guys real quick is our projects, okay? Everything I've shown you to this point is essentially just information that will help you do your job a little bit, right? Who is the person who owns that property? Or what was the last thing we talked about, et cetera. But now what we're getting into is managing your pipeline, looking at that paycheck, okay? So what we have the ability to do is basically create any kind of project that you want within here, and this is everything you should be getting paid on. Every transaction you're going to collect a paycheck off of, create a project for it, okay? And if you're doing all kinds of different parts of commercial, you can come in here. We could say, well, what type of transaction is it? Maybe this is a tenant rep deal. Maybe on the other side, you're going to be doing a landlord rep deal, or maybe you're going to do an investment sale or a listing. Okay. So what we can do is keep track of all that. All right. Then we can see, tie it to a specific listing if we want, tie it to a client. Okay. With you guys being tenant rep, I don't anticipate you guys using the listing, but you will have the client. Okay. And then what you'll have the ability to do is you can key them over here and keep track of your commission if you want to. So it's the size amount, how much you're going to get paid, are you co-brokering with anyone? You can go ahead and add participants and chop it up and look at splits and stuff. We've already covered events and history. We've covered links and attachments as well. Okay. What we haven't covered is this leads tab. So when we're in a project, there's an ability for you to add leads to that. So for everyone here on a tenant rep deal, what you're going to have is you're going to be able to say, okay, well, here's a space that met your requirements, right? Now that's a lead for that project, right? They're only going to choose one space, but what we want to do is sit here and say, have we toured that space? Have we submitted our offer? What kind of objections do they have? So we can come over here, so we can just add a lead. And again, as I mentioned, a lead could be anything that you want. So if you're working both sides of the equation, it could be a contact or a company if they're looking to lease space or buy space. But for everyone here, pretty much every single lead for tenant rep should be a space, right? So we select a space from my database. I can go say, what's the size of it, right? What's the amount, right? What would my commission be on that? Probability of close, different stages that they're in, as well as estimated close date. So if they pick that particular property, how soon can they move in? How soon can we close on that? Okay. And then make notes on each individual space as well. Okay. Last thing I'm going to talk about on the CRM is going to be our deal room. The deal room is basically online file sharing. Okay, guys, you have the ability to go ahead and invite people to come in, start viewing documents online, but it gives you that extra added security of being able to have it password protected for them to log into, but also you can restrict access based on authority levels that you give your clients, as well as the security levels that you add to documents. Okay, but then we get to track it. We can see how many times they've logged in, documents they've viewed, all that kind of fun stuff. You can all view it right here. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause for just a moment. If you guys have any questions, over on the right-hand side of our GoToMeeting bar that popped up, there's a chat section. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to type those in. And while you're doing that, I'm going to show you guys our new mobile app. So I'm going to synchronize my phone to our computer here. There we go. And so this is my actual phone, so if you guys see any text messages or anything like that pop up, they'll just kind of ignore those because it's my actual live phone. So what we've just launched recently is we have this new RealNex Core application here. Okay, we just launched it less than a month ago. Okay, and what it does essentially is it ties your entire CRM database back to your phone. Okay, this is huge. No one else has anything like this out there. Basically, we can look at all of your contacts, your projects, your companies, your properties, everything right here on your phone. It is available on both Android and Apple. Okay, so I go over to my contacts tab. I can come over here and I can search for any contact I want. You know, let's go look for John here, for example. Okay, so pulled up every John in my database. Okay, so if it was John Fries, we'll click on him. I can look at everything I need to know about John. If I go click on that tenant information, oh, he doesn't have any tenant information. Let's go. Does he have any information? Oh, here he is. He's a vendor of ours. Okay, it's a title company. So I didn't even look at the information. So I can look at everything I need to know about him. If I go click on my history tab, I can go ahead. I can look at all those notes and interactions that I've documented in here. If I wanted to create a new one, I can actually go up to the little plus sign, and it's the same process we just covered online, right? Subject, make my note, type of interaction, link it to anything else in my database, and then go ahead and save it, and it becomes part of my mobile app database as well as the online side as well. They're all synchronized together. Okay. If I want to go back, and I'll go look at properties, for example. I can go over to my property section, click on that. Exact same process. Find any particular property that you want, click on it. I can look at all the details on that property. I can look at the spaces within there. We talked about that those spaces and the rent rolls and everything like that that are in there. Let me give it a sec. There we go. So look, here are all my tenants within that space, right? If I wanted to go look at that suite, works the same way. Just click on the suite number, right? So now I'm at the suite or the property space within there, right? Is it vacant? Is it available? Who's the point of contact, etc. It's all there. If I need to make notes, go ahead and make those notes. All right. If you guys are keeping track of those documents, those attachments and stuff underneath there, go back into it. Right down here at the bottom, you'll see there's a file section. If I click on that, I go ahead, I can view any document that I've attached into my database as well. Okay. You can see we've also got our deal rooms, our comps. Basically, your entire CRM database is available to you. One of the other cool things that I forgot to mention is if you wanted to add properties or spaces to your database, you can do this. And one of the beauties of this is because we all have a GPS in our phone, what you can do is you can stand in front of a building, hit auto address. It'll pull up the exact location where you're at. Then I can go ahead and take a photo of it, add that property to my database, start adding spaces, start adding tenants to it as well. Okay, so it's a great way if you guys are out on the go and you want to start building that database, you can do that. Okay. And so I did see a couple questions pop up, so hold on one sec. Let me get over to those. Is there any integration with LinkedIn for contacts? Is there any integration with email? Other property database, for example, Ziometrics for multifamily, which has all details already populated. So a couple questions there you got, Travis. First one is it linked to LinkedIn? Not directly with LinkedIn, but we do integrate with Outlook, okay? And we also integrate with Gmail. And that will do a couple things for you. One, it'll help populate your database with your contacts, okay? Two, what we can do is we can create a synchronization between those to where if you have a contact, we'll call him John Doe, and his email is johndoe@outlook.com. Well, because we synchronize those things together, anytime you send an email to johndoe@outlook.com, we will grab that email, attach it to the history record automatically for you. The other part of this is that you'll be able to synchronize your calendar events. So every time I go and create an event, I've got a meeting next week with John. I go block it out in my CRM. That'll populate back over to your calendar in your Outlook or your Gmail, depending on which one you synchronize, and block that time out on there as well. Okay. As far as bringing over property information, you still need to populate that. I'll say it manually. You can do bulk imports through our program, where you can come in over here. I can go ahead and import properties, and we've got an import wizard as well as a template that you can go ahead and put all your properties or contacts in and bring it over in bulk as well. Okay, but we don't have any direct integrations with any third-party property data supplies right now. We do have our own listing service, and you can bring that stuff over pretty seamlessly. But as far as like any other party that RealNex doesn't own, we don't have any direct integration with them yet. Okay. Hope that answered your questions there, Travis. All right, so we kind of covered the CRM. The next part of everyone here is going to be, again, tenant rep. You guys are going to be going out there and doing property tours, right? You guys are probably creating tour books, all right? More commonly, I see most people going out there and creating like these PDF documents, right? You've got floor plans and photos and all kinds of other stuff that you put together, and then you put it into a nice little document, save it as a PDF, and then print it out or email it over to your client, and they can go look at it, right? Well, we've got a brand new way of doing that. We've got this great program that we call Transaction Manager, okay? What it is it's just a 21st way of creating those tour books and tour properties, okay? Basically, you're creating a secure login for them. They can log in online, and we also have a mobile app that's available for it as well, and I'll show you guys that here in just a sec, where they can download the app or they can go online and they can look at all that same information. Beauty of this is that they can come back and they can reference it over and over again, and you can use that same property and that same pictures and stuff like that over and over again, but it's a much more modern way of doing it. So essentially what you guys would do is you're going to come over here, create a tenant rep deal. You're going to say, name that deal, who's the client, what type of space are they looking for, fill in all the information. Then what you're probably going to do is, again, you're just building a database now, but this one's going to be outside of what your CRM is, okay? This is for like public consumption, I like to say, okay? So this is for what clients and stuff to see. They don't need to see what's going on in your CRM and all your notes that you put within there. They just need to see that property and that space information. So you're going to kind of build that up. You're going to have more photos, more files and stuff attached to it. So build up kind of like a touring database, but once it's in there, come back and reference it often as you like. Then what you can do is you can invite people. You're just simply typing in their email address, johndoe@outlook.com. Okay, create that deal, and then what will happen is we will email you a sign-in and a password for every user. You can then forward it on to people, and then they can come and log in whenever they want. Now, you guys are seeing my view as the broker, so I've got every single transaction I'm working on. If you invite a client to a specific deal, they only see the one deal that you invited them to. Okay. Then all they need to do is click on the name of that deal, and it brings up all the information for them. Now, actually, let's add a couple more to this just to give you guys a better idea of the power of this tool, because I think you guys will be pretty impressed on everything it can do. All right, so you got a client, they're looking for office space. Looks like these people are looking for office space. Okay, it's in the greater Atlanta area. Okay, we found about half a dozen different spaces that met their criteria. Okay, so what we do, as long as you have a valid address for that property, we will integrate with Google Maps. Okay, so it'll drop a pin on all those different locations. Okay, and they get the Google Map functionality. They can zoom out, they can zoom in. If they want to go to satellite view, they can go to satellite view. Okay, they can also drag the little man out in front of the space. So zoom in a little bit. Let's go take a look at this particular property. Just go drop them off right in front of it. Okay, and now we're actually, looking at that particular property. Okay, at least from the street view. Okay, all right. You can come in and you can change the pins. We toured it. They liked it. They didn't like it. That's completely up to you how you want to do it. But now if I want to look at more particular information, I come over here. So then I can see, okay, well, what's the rentable square footage? What's the rate? What that's going to be in terms of dollar figures? And we're going to cover score here in just a sec. Okay, so this is the high level stuff. If they like it, from that point, then all they need to do is click on that particular address, and then we're going to get into the rest of the information for that. Okay, so what we want to do now is we can look at all those photos. We can look at those floor plans and stuff, right? So we click on this, and they can go ahead and flip through these photos. All right, it's all online. They're not flipping through that PDF or anything like that. Beauty of this is they don't have to look at all 30 pages or whatever it is. It allows them a little more flexibility to jump around. Okay. Now I uploaded a bunch of different floor plans in here. Typically it's probably going to be one or two, but the beauty of this system is that you can upload every single floor plan for a particular building. And you see how I have square footages within here. So when I go in and develop that profile, I'm creating this project within here. What it'll do is say if they're looking for a square footage range of 2,500 to 5,000 square feet, well, if there are any available floor plans that meet that criteria, it'll automatically pull them. Okay. The other thing you can do is you can actually go ahead and upload marketing material. So if you're getting that from the owner rep, go ahead, attach that PDF in here, and they can come in and view all that marketing material as well. Okay. If you guys want to attach any kind of Word documents or anything like that, feel free to do so. You also have the ability to come in over here and create some customizable information about that building. Okay, so you come over here and you name it anything that you like. What's important to them, right? Parking ratios, parking costs, contiguous space, whatever you want. Go ahead, edit it for them. Okay, what are they looking for? All right. Then you can also come down here and you can develop a customized one-off rating system for them. Okay, guys. This is huge because if you ever get into that situation where you have multiple decision makers involved in a process, right? You get into that herding cats mentality, right? This person likes it because it's close to grandma's house. This person likes it because it's close to their favorite bakery or whatever, okay? So what you can do is you can say, okay, guys, give me 8 things that are important to you in a space. You can be anything that you want. I don't care what it is. It could be, it's got a feng shui. It's got to face west. Anything that they want, it's 100% customizable. Okay, but then what will happen is you guys can actually tell your client to log in and create, or actually there's a free app available on Apple and Android, and they can go in and they can download this on their device. Okay, this is huge because what you can do is instead of giving people like that tour book, what you do is just say, hey, everyone go download the app, and as they're walking the space, they can be pulling it up on their phone and they can look at all of this information and start providing you that feedback. So let me sync my phone one more time here. All right, so pull this back up for you guys. Okay, so this is the actual app. Same tour that we're looking at right now, right? So your client would click on that and look at all the information that they have. Okay. So you can see here's each of the different buildings, the high-level stuff. We've got my Google Maps and everything like that. So we go to Peachtree Tower, the one we're currently in right now. I can look at, the address, year built. That's all this stuff that we looked at over here on the left-hand side, right? All that customized stuff. I want to look at where it is on the map. I want to look at those photos. Click on the photos, right? They can go through and look at all of those, all right? If we go back, they can take photos from the device as well. So if you're going through and we're like, hey, you know what? We need to take a picture of that flooring because it's awful, or there's a hole in the wall, or whatever it is. We need to add that in there. Go ahead and make those notes. They can take notes straight from the device. Go ahead, make any kind of notes, hit add note, get saved in there. And then they can look at those floor plans as well as that rating system, right? So the beauty of this rating system is because you have so many people involved in that decision-making process, what you have the ability to do is now everyone has a fair say, okay? Everyone can go in there and they already know what those 8 things are and they're coming in and they're rating these things, right? So they're changing these things around to whatever best suits them, okay? Then you'll see it starts generating a score. It says my score. Okay, so every person gets their own fair say. They all have their own score. But what's going to happen now is that once you've gone through and you've toured all those spaces, what you can do is you can come back to them with hard data, essentially, and say, okay, we need to create a benchmark. You guys obviously aren't going to lease all 6 of these spaces, so let's start creating that short list. So what we do is we come over here and say, okay, what's our benchmark? It's going to be 8. Okay, today's example is going to be 8. So this 8.8, fine. 8.3, 7.9 was close, but not quite there. 5.4 shouldn't have been even in play. 7.7, 7.7. So we're just going to go ahead and exclude everything that was 8 or that wasn't 8 or above. Okay, so all we do is we come over here, go ahead and hit archive, off they go. Okay, so now I've got my updated map, I've got my updated buildings and everything, and then it's just a matter of going through and keeping track of that negotiation now, right? Do we want to submit that LOI? Okay, so what you can do is come on over here. And you can see I've got T's and O's. Okay, T's for tenant, O's for owner. All right, and then what we do is create these proposals and then allows us to come back and compare them. So your client can come back in and look at all of this. Okay, so you can see this is what our offer was, right? The rate, the square footage, the term, the escalation, et cetera. Keep track of that. Get your net effective. Owner counters back. You can do that as well. Okay, so that's really just kind of keeping track of the individual negotiation between you and the owner. The other side of this, guys, is going to be, doing a really robust analysis, right? So if we're moving to this space versus that space across town, what is the total financial obligation? Now we're getting into running numbers side by side, apples to apple comparison on the financial side. We've got a program that will help you do that as well. Okay, that is our lease analysis tool over here. So I'm going to pause again real quick while I load that up. Let's see, we do have a couple more questions here. Yeah, Travis, we actually offer our investment demonstration on Thursdays. It's actually the same time. It's going to be 11 a.m. Central Time, but we do an entire presentation on investments on Thursdays and stuff. So today's just pretty much tenant rep stuff, and we're going to cover how all of our tools can do that. If you guys do investment, we can cover that on Thursday for you. We've got, we'll cover multifamily, retail, office, whatever you want to cover on that, but we kind of focus on just tenant rep on Tuesdays. Okay. So let's see here. Comparative lease analysis, right? So we've got a couple different properties in play, possibly, right? They all ranked really well. They're all 8 or above. So now it's going to come down to the numbers. Okay, so we want to show our client, apples to apples comparison of net effective. Okay, so what we can do is we can come over here and we can create a financial analysis. Okay, and then we can create a nice presentation at the end of this as well. So what our program allows you to do is can compare up to 5 different leases. Okay, they don't have to necessarily be 5 different spaces. If you want to do 5 different iterations of one space, right, and you're just going to play around with term, rate, and TI. Okay. Well, we can cover that, okay? So you say, okay, well, here's the one space, and here's 5 different iterations, options A, B, C, D, and E, okay? You can do that, all right? So you can see it's really easy program to use. We basically work left to right through these tabs at the top, and then you can see they're associated with a corresponding, in this case, building, okay? But you can also use a different space, okay? So then what we can do is you can come on over here, and you're going to put in the minimum information, right? Rentable square feet, usable square feet, start date, term, end date, etc. If you want to add in optional information and make it a more complete presentation, by all means do so. Okay. So then what we do is we just kind of work left to right. Let's go hop on our lease data tab. And what we do is kind of work clockwise through here. Okay, guys. So what we can do is you can come on here and you can just kind of choose which item that you want to run your analysis on, and we just start adding components to it. Okay. So first thing we're always going to do is start with rent. If you guys don't like our terminology base rent, it is a dynamic field. Feel free to change it. Then what we want to do is you come on over here and say, okay, well, what's the rate? Okay, depending on your market, we're going to quote things a little bit differently, right? Square foot per year, square foot per month. Maybe you just want to quote a flat annual amount. Go ahead and do that. Okay. If you want to give away any kind of free rent, go ahead and do that as well. However you want to account for your escalation. Again, same idea. Percentage, price per square foot, or flat annual bump, you can do that. And all of these are dynamic as well. So it doesn't have to be on a rolling 12. Go ahead and change it. I'm going to do an escalation every 6 months. You can do that as well. Okay. Then what we do is we just hit update. It drops down here. So you can go through and just keep adding all those different components, right? Let's go ahead and add some OpEx, right? Same process. Only thing you're going to notice really different is that we might have a recoverable expense depending on that lease type, right? Is there a base stop? Is there a cap amount? Or maybe it's just a straight triple net deal. Okay. So go ahead and fill in all those. Again, you can name these anything you want. So you have taxes, janitorial, HVAC, but again, all of these things are editable. So it is literally like whatever you want it to be, okay? Then you're going to have improvements. Same idea, right? In this case, we just kind of lumped all of our improvements together into one big number. If you want to break it down, right, furniture, fixtures, voice data, et cetera, you can do that, all right? So in this case, we just put 53,000, the total amount of the TI required, but then how much of that will be covered by the owner? Okay, so we can go ahead and put an allowance in here. And again, you can just do, they're going to cover a flat dollar amount. Maybe they're going to cover a percentage of it, or maybe they're just going to cover $70 per square foot. So again, just depending on what market, how you want to quote that information, we have you covered. Okay. If there's a delta, where they're not going to cover all of it, well, maybe the owner will deficit finance that, right? So maybe they covered, in this case, 0 of it. Okay. They're not going to pay for any of your TI, but they will finance 100% of it for you for the term of your lease, okay, at a 5% rate. So if you guys ever run into that situation, we have you on that. Okay? So just keep adding these components. They'll start dropping down here, and then you start developing a snapshot. So hopefully you guys have been doing this long enough to where you'll start noticing any kind of anomalies right here. Okay, so if all of a sudden you started out, the rental rate was $10 a square foot, but after you added in all your OpEx and your improvements and stuff like that, you're at $60 a square foot. Might want to go double check your math. You might have an extra 0 or something in there. Okay. Now, once that is done, all we need to do is we can come over here and we can do a quick analysis, if you will, to where we can see, what are our monthly totals and our annual totals and stuff. I can also do a quick summary. So basically, once I've gone in, I've added all of my leases in here. I can line them up side by side. I can do a quick high-level comparison or snapshot, if you will. But before you go and give this to your client, what I usually recommend do is come over and build a nice old presentation for them. Okay, come on over here, create a summary, cash flow, lease schedule. You're just checking boxes. Do you want to include that information or not? Okay. If you go over to our property photos tab, go ahead, upload those photos, upload maps, aerials. If we don't have the information, you have it saved as a PDF, you can do that. So every one of these pages, you can see underneath the custom reports is editable. So I can come over here and I can edit this, right? So I just upload my photo of my property photo or my map or my aerial. Okay. Same thing with PDF attachments. I want to upload some PDF attachments. Go ahead and do that same thing. Okay. Then finally, we have our comparison reports. Okay. So this is basically lining up all those different spaces that you put in there side by side to get that apples to apples comparison. All right. So then what we do is when you've got it all laid out and you've decided what you want to include in there, just click on create presentation, hit preview and save, and it'll generate a PDF for you. Okay. One sec to load here. Now, one of the cool things with this is you can actually see this one's actually branded for CBRE. You guys can upload your own color scheme, put in your own contact information, have a fully branded presentation for you. Okay. So what we've got here is each individual space, the individual reports. Okay. Key financials, lease expirations, etc. Okay. And we can do that for every single space. And then as we go down a little bit further here, get to the comparisons here. Almost there. Here's my comparisons, right? So here they are side by side lined up, right? So total gross rent, NPV, etc. Going to the next one, right? What are my effectives? Okay. Great way of doing this, guys. It makes it super simple for you. If you want to throw in some charts and graphs, we have those options for you in here as well. All right, so that's the lease analysis, at least at a high level. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You can actually go in, and once you've entered in a lease and you want to run variations within here, see where there's a copy lease option? You can actually copy everything over. So let's say it's the one space, and you're going to run 3 different variations, and all I need to do is change the rate. Well, what you could do is basically just come over here and say copy that lease, go into that rate, and change that one line item, and everything else would stay the same. So it makes it super efficient for you guys. All right. Okay, last thing we're going to cover with our time here today is go over the marketing component. So if you kind of follow the process that we've gone through, CRM, right? We've gone through, developed a contact database. We've developed a property database and spaces and stuff. We're tracking our projects for our own internal consumption through that CRM. As we go and we start touring spaces, we've got that project, we won our client's business, we go and start creating that electronic tour book that we showed you, right? You go start touring that space via the mobile app, right? We start narrowing that stuff down. Okay, now that we've got it narrowed down, let's start looking at those apples to apples financial comparisons. We do that through this lease analysis tab we just did, right? So the other aspect of this is going to be actually going out and marketing, right? Maybe you want to go out and say, hey, I've got a tenant looking for space. They're looking for Class A retail or whatever the case may be. And you want to put that information out there, we have you covered for that. The other option is just going out there and looking for space in general. RealNex has created its own listing service. Okay, so it's free to go in and search for listings. It's also free to add listings in there. Now, when I say a listing, most people think, oh, I've got a piece of property for sale for lease. Well, what's cool about our program is you can actually go out there and say, hey, I've got a tenant looking for space, right? So you can actually come out here. You can say space wanted. I've got someone looking for a specific type of space. Contact me. Let's see if we can put something together. Okay, so that's an option for you guys. But what we've added to this component as well is email marketing. So what you can do is once you've added your opportunity in here, I've got my client looking for space. Okay, you can go in here, and not only is it searchable, okay, so people can go and find you and get a hold of you, but you actually have the ability to push it out now. Okay, so if you guys are social media gurus, go click on our share tab. Hey, talk about how great your client is and how wonderful they are. Post on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Okay, get it out there in front of those people. They can contact you. It'll redirect them. It'll post this listing link right here, redirect them back to our page, and look, they can contact you. Now, if I want to do an email campaign, I can do that as well. Just click on Create Email Campaign. And it's basically just a step-by-step process, okay? So we've got the ability for you to upload a flyer, set a static image. If you're super savvy with HTML and you want to create your own, use our basic template. You kind of have carte blanche to do whatever you like. The last option here is kind of like a hybrid, okay? So we've created some templates for you, but we allow you to come in and tweak them, okay? So you just kind of click on whichever template you want, hit next. Then what we do is you can see it pulled all the information from here. So maybe you're representing like a Jimmy John's or something like that. I don't know. I have a Jimmy John's logo here. Talk about what the requirements for space and everything are, how to get a hold of you. So it pulled all the information from your listing and put it into the template. Again, the idea here is to save you time. Then what we can do is we can come in here. Maybe red's not your color. We'll just come in and edit that particular field. Change the color to whatever you want. Same thing with your font or your format, right? So go ahead, change that stuff. If you like it, just go ahead and hit update here. All right, so you can see it saved my template. All right, so make any kind of revisions you want to your template. If you like it, go ahead and save it so you can come back and use it again next time. Then hit next. You'll obviously need to proofread it. Make sure all those I's are dotted and those T's are crossed. Hit next again. And this is where we're going to choose who we want to blast it out to. Okay, so what you guys can do is you can upload your own contacts to this. Okay, upload those contact lists. Do whatever you need to do. Name anything you like, right? Here are all of my owner reps for retail. Here are all my whatever. Here are everyone who does office or everyone who does retail. Create any kind of groups that you would like. Name them anything that you want. Target those specific people, and then go ahead and choose when to send it out. Okay? Hit finish. Off it goes. All right, and then we will keep track of all the stats and tracking everything along with it. Okay? So we've kind of come full circle. As you go ahead and people start reaching back out to you, document those interactions in the CRM, track those projects accordingly, okay? So that pretty much covers everything we have on RealNex today. Now, last thing we'll cover here before I open it up for questions here is our pricing, okay? So what we have the ability to do is you guys can choose any single product that you like. If you just wanted the CRM, we could sell you just the CRM. If you just like the transaction manager, it's the same thing. Market Edge, that was the lease analysis. Do that as well. Okay, it doesn't matter. You can kind of essentially pick your poison, and they're all priced the same. We offer both a month-to-month rate as well as an annual rate. Okay, so month-to-month, your cost would be $79 a month. Okay, per user. Okay, if you guys will go ahead and make an annual commitment, basically you're going to pay me for all 12 months in advance, but your cost goes down. So you can see you're going to save about $240 a year. It's going to be $59 equivalent month-to-month. So it's about $708. Okay, so it doesn't matter which one you choose, they're all the same. But what we do, as we talked about earlier, is kind of a bundle and save, right? So we've got our suite now, okay? So that includes everything that we've covered today, the CRM, the tenant rep touring software, we've got the lease analysis, we've got the email marketing and the listing service all together, okay? So as you can see, if you guys got to do the math on these, right, 79 and 79, well, this is far less expensive than that, right? 158 or for two, or you can pay 149 for everything, for all five. Okay, same thing goes on the annual, right? Instead of that $59 a month, now $99 a month for everything. Okay, so quite a great deal of savings for you guys. Again, the idea is when you're buying these things, you're just buying time, right? Don't spend $400 an hour for a $20 an hour job. So if we can help you save that money, this is where it comes into play. Okay. So go ahead, open it up for any questions. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to type them in the chat bar over there, and I'll be happy to get